how does it feel to be a published
Oh,
author?
that journey is it's humbling. It's surreal. You say to yourself, do I deserve? And it's not for us to wonder if we deserve, it's for us to know. That's how I'm taking this in stride. But definitely, I'm ready to join the rescue. People are dependent on me to do what I need to do. Their life may depend on it. And that's what I have to embrace in order to do what I must do on this journey, God's purpose.
What was your happiest moment on the journey to becoming a published author?
For me, to be honest, to know that my mom, who was always there for me, is smiling down on me. May she rest in peace. For my dad, who is also deceased, may he rest in peace as well. I put in the book, Dad, this is our journey. When I had that aha moment and brought him with me, that's when it was ultimate forgiveness.
Why tell your story now?
Beginning of the book, I said I had many reasons why I thought before that my life would make a great book. Money, not a good enough reason. To tell my story, not a good enough reason, but it was to heal. This book started out as journals in treatment. And it was probably like on the 10th, 11th day that I went back and read, because I would always have to rehash the next day. The spirit was so strong that I would write and I wouldn't know what I wrote until the next day when I would go back. So actually my healing was always a day behind. For me, it was when I realized that this is healing. And so many other people share my story. They're living it. They're not sharing it. They're living it. And I want them to know that they are me, but I am them as well.
Now, you write in your book that rock bottom became a stepping stone. You knew it was not your destiny, but it became a stepping stone. What did rock bottom look like for you?
Lonely. Unfortunately, the bottom is crowded. But when you hit your rock bottom, it's lonely because it's just you. It was dark. It was no light. I had heard about different rock bottoms. And, I'm just so blessed that my rock bottom wasn't death. That was big for me as well in treatment as well. My rock bottom wasn't death. So I knew that my purpose was a lot bigger than me, because your purpose is always bigger than you. I said, okay, you brought me through this. I've done things 1,000 times to my body that some people only done once and they're gone. So let's go. Somebody needs me. And this story, God, you know what I say as well, Tavetta? God uses the most broken to deliver the most powerful messages because he wants to leave no doubt who's responsible. And he wants to see people to see, oh my goodness, Donte was that way and now he's that way. Oh, that's a miracle. Only miracles come from God. My rock bottom was dark, but God gave it light.
That's powerful. I would like to know, for the people who are on the journey, like walking alongside a loved one, what are some of the red flags that perhaps a loved one who is struggling with substance abuse might display so that that family member or friend would know that they need help?
That's a good question, Tavella. And for family members, I want them to know isolation is one of the biggest red flags. When that person, that family member begins to isolate him or herself, where they want to be a secret, that's a big red flag. It's time to not say, okay, let's leave that person alone, or that's just them, or they'll grow out of it. No, that's go time. That's go time. That's I care time. That's the time where they don't care enough about themselves. You have to care more. Isolation, obviously irritation, manipulative ways, not be held accountable for anything, blaming others for everything, small things even. So I just want to really hone in on that isolation point, Tavetta, because A lot of times family members get fed up, and when that person who's in the addiction, they isolate the family, say, well, they're not bothering me. So rather than go search for that person, they leave it alone. Well, that's when that person is in the pinnacle, at the pinnacle of their addiction at that time. So that's actually the time when they pull away, is when you draw closer to try to help them and do what you can. I know it's frustrating, and but just know, true love is grace. And yeah, I learned that still to this day right now. I'm learning it every day. That isolation for me and for so many of my brothers and sisters that are in the addiction is key. Key red flag.
Thank you for sharing so much and so honestly, as you have from the very beginning of the journey. I appreciate that. I want to ask, what are some of the first steps that can be taken? Because I heard you say true love is grace. How can that be expressed in a way that the person who's in addiction can actually receive that love or that grace? What does that look like?
Well, that's good. You asked some deep ones, and I love it. Because this is going to help so many. That grace is, and I got my eyes closed because I'm reliving it. It's fortitude. It's resilience. These are the things my fiance, she showed. As that person who's in the addiction pulls away, it's a push-pull theory. Whereas when they pull, you push. Because see, an addict wants to isolate when we want to isolate, and we want to talk to you when we want to talk to you, when we need. But it's eventually, when we see that we've ran that well dry, we totally isolate from you. I don't want to be around you anymore. That's the time for the family to push and show, I love you. Words are so powerful. You know as well as I do. Words are so powerful. It doesn't matter what it looks like right now. I know who you are inside. I love you. And then you have the obvious. Sometimes you got to get down and dirty with it. The interventions, that's one of them. RCA. Thank God for RCA. They have interventionists that will come to your home. Yeah, it's not just a show. It's real. Intervention is real. They have interventionists specially trained to come to your home. So just do your research. Just like we do research on other things that we're interested in. Well, if we're interested in our family members as we should be, do the research to get them well. It's hard. And I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it like it's not. On both ends, it's hard. That was one of the hardest days of my life. I've already shared with you. Walking into RCA, the treatment center, going down that windy road where it opened up into scariness, but it ended up, changing my life.